Hello, Ben. This is Jared from Downtown, PA. Can you hear
Jared,
me?
always a pleasure, man. What's on your mind?
Pretty good. I'm testing out my new Bluetooth speakers I got here. So I got the new wireless speakers for my new phone I just got. So
Okay.
they're pretty cool. You know, you can walk around the whole house. You don't have
Yeah.
to have your phone or anything.
Yeah, I've got some Bluetooth as well. What's on your mind tonight, though?
Oh, yeah. What's on my mind is I want to talk. I've been talking recently a lot about Trump and all that, but I think it's time to get back to the main problem, which is basically the Democratic Party. And recently you made some videos about Keith Ellison, about how he's progressive and
Hmm.
how he might save the party. And Brandon, your cohort, Brandon, he's been actually very critical recently of Keith Ellison,
Yeah, for sure.
namely endorsing the guy in the Florida race over, I'm losing the name, but you know, for the state
Yeah,
chair
yeah.
in the Democratic Party there.
Dwight
And
Bullard and Stephen Biddle.
yeah, and Jimmy Dore, the comedian from TYT, also made a couple good videos about him taking super PAC money,
Yeah,
and there's also been his anti-BDS, anti-Israel, anti-BDS
right. His statement
statements
about
he's made recently.
Hmm.
So I find him very problematic. So I just don't see why we as progressives should support Keith Ellison
Okay.
when I just feel like he's just going to be another Obama.
All right. Fair enough.
And,
Cool, cool. Thanks for that call, Jared. It's always a pleasure talking with you. I'm not arguing about Keith Ellison anymore. He's going to be what he's going to be. I would rather him versus actual lobbyists. I would rather him. And now this doesn't mean and this is what I think people have a disconnect on. Right? When I say I would rather him than a lobbyist, this doesn't mean that I'm co-signing to anything that he does once he becomes the chair. Right? I'm saying if I had to fight something, this is how I look at any politician from now on. If I have to fight somebody, I would rather fight him than an actual lobbyist. I would rather fight somebody who wants to ban lobbying versus someone who wants to open the floodgate for corporate lobbying. So this doesn't mean we're going to co-sign to anything he does, and that's the mistake. That's the number one mistake we make as people who support politicians is that we get it in our heads that we have to support anything and everything this person does. No. Right. There's plenty to oppose with President Obama, plenty to oppose with President Obama. It doesn't mean he's my enemy and doesn't mean that I'm his enemy. It just simply means that I disagree with him on a litany of issues. Same thing with Keith Ellison. He gets in and he does things that are unprogressive, then he needs to be opposed on those things vehemently. So just keep that in mind as we deal with any politician. No politician is going to be perfect. Every politician, no matter who, every politician is going to be the lesser of two evils. And I know everybody say, oh, we're going to reject the lesser of two evilisms, right? I get that. But you're not going to find a candidate that does not have some problems, right? So you are, no matter who you choose, you are accepting their baggage and you're accepting the fact that they're not going to be perfectly in line. They're not perfectly in lockstep with what you represent and what you believe. So you are, by no matter who you pick, unless you just sit on the outside and say, I reject the lesser evil, so I can't choose a politician, right? That's the only reasonable way to do that because every politician has baggage. Now, once you accept them as the lesser of two evil, that doesn't mean that you have to co-sign to everything that they do. So, take your pick. Who do you feel is going to be the least problematic Democratic chair and support them in this race, right? But don't support everything they do blindly. That's the problem, is that people believe that once I sign up with this team, I've got to go rah-rah, sisk, boom, bah with anything that team does. And that's just not the reality. You got to hold your politicians accountable after the election. It's most important to hold them accountable after the election, not during the elections. Mean nothing. It's what they do on day one of their administration. So that's my advice to you. But again, I'm not arguing about Keith. I'm not arguing about the DNC. I'm not arguing about any of them because personally, I don't think any of them are going to do anything progressive whatsoever. So I still would rather Ellison than Jameson or whatever the guy name is, but it's really doesn't matter what I want.